You ever wonder why some guys just seem to have it? That magnetic pull, where women lean in, laugh a little harder, and touch their hair more often when he's around? You've seen it. Maybe you've even felt it when you're around someone who's got that vibe, that timing, that energy that just clicks. But here's the thing. It's not just looks. It's not about money. And no, it's not luck. It's timing. Most guys think attraction is about what you say. But the guys who actually succeed? They know it's about when you say it. The perfect moment can turn a casual interaction into sexual tension. Miss it, and you're just another nice guy who doesn't get a second thought. But hit that moment, and she won't stop thinking about you for days. This isn't a video with generic dating tips. This is about mastering one of the most lethal weapons in seduction: perfect timing. A concept that the best seducers in history, from Casanova to modern-day pickup masters, have used to build obsession. There's a reason why Robert Greene wrote an entire chapter in The Art of Seduction about delaying satisfaction. There's a reason Mystery built his entire pickup method around creating emotional spikes at exactly the right time. And there's a reason why some guys say less, do less, but still get more. Because attraction isn't linear. It doesn't build like a staircase, it builds like a roller coaster. You have to create tension, release it, then build it again. But only at the right moment. Hit it too soon, and you come off needy. Hit it too late, and she's already lost interest. So what if I told you that everything you've learned about expressing interest, making a move, or just being yourself is dead wrong? If your timing sucks, let me give you a mental image. You're at a party. She's across the room. You make eye contact. She looks away, but smiles. Most guys would walk over right away. That's the mistake. See, you don't act when you're ready. You act when she is at her emotional peak. You wait until the moment she wonders, is he going to talk to me? When curiosity burns hotter than her doubt, that's the exact second. Not before, not after. Timing isn't about confidence, it's about emotional calibration. And you're going to learn it, right here. Now, you might think this is something you're either born with or you're not. But that's just not true. This is a skill you can train. It starts with reading signals, like micro-expressions, body shifts, vocal tone, and ends with strategic patience. Because when you know how to recognize that window, and you make your move at the exact right time, she won't just like you, she'll crave you. Let's break something down real quick. Most men suffer from what psychologists call approach anxiety. But what's underneath that is deeper. It's timing uncertainty. You don't want to make a fool of yourself. You're unsure when she's open. That's why timing is power. Not just to impress her, but to control your own state. Mystery talks about this in his Venusian Arts Handbook. He doesn't just teach you how to open a conversation, he teaches you when to do it. He waits until the girl is laughing at something else, already emotionally warm. That way, his approach doesn't feel like an interruption. It feels like the natural next step. And that's where the magic happens. Timing removes resistance. It bypasses the logical filter and hits her emotional core. Think about it. How many times has a girl told you, "I don't even know why I like him"? That's timing at work. She felt something when he acted. He showed up when her emotional window was open. That's not game. That's art. So what does that actually look like? It means you don't compliment her right after she shows up. You wait until she says something you find interesting. Then you lock eyes and say, "That was actually kinda sexy." Boom. That moment will land 10 times harder. Not because of the words, but because of when you said them. You don't lean in close during the first 5 minutes. You do it the second she gets comfortable, when her voice drops just a little and she leans in to hear you better. That's when you lower your voice, slow your speech, and let a moment of silence hang in the air. That silence? That's where the tension lives. And here's the real killer move: the pause. Most guys rush. They think if they don't speak, they'll lose the connection. But the men who know timing, they use silence as a weapon, because in that pause, her brain fills the space with curiosity. That's where the mystery builds. Remember what Robert Greene said: absence and presence must be balanced carefully. Too much presence and the aura of mystery fades. Too much absence and the interest dies. That's timing. That's seduction. The moment you realize that timing is about giving her space to want more, not chasing, not begging, not explaining. You start to become the kind of man she fantasizes about. The one who doesn't just talk, but leads her emotions without her even realizing it. You see, there's this perfect moment, the moment when her emotional state is right on the edge, and if you strike then, the impact isn't just strong, it's unforgettable. Like the guy she met once but couldn't forget for years. You become the exception, the imprint, the guy who got under her skin without ever trying too hard. But here's the catch. That moment doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with a sign. You have to learn to sense it. You have to feel it in the way she breathes, the way she blinks slower, the way she mirrors your posture. That's not random. That's your cue. And once you lock into that rhythm, once you know the beat she's unconsciously playing, you don't chase anymore. You orchestrate. You drive the interaction without forcing it. This is deeper than flirting. This is timing as seduction. And it's what separates the guy who gets ghosted from the guy who lives in her mind rent-free. You ever notice how some guys can say the exact same thing as you, but it just lands different? Same words, same compliment. But when he says it, her eyes light up. That's not charisma. That's precision. That's the science of timing. Let me break this down with a real example. You're talking to a woman at a bar. She's sipping her drink, half distracted, glancing around. This is where most guys panic. They rush. They try to hold her attention with rapid-fire questions or jokes. That's pressure. That's noise. What you should do is wait. Let the conversation breathe. Hold eye contact just a second longer than what feels natural. Then say something simple, even casual, but with that calm, grounded energy that says, "I'm not chasing this. I'm leading it." Suddenly she tunes in, not because of what you said, but because of how still you were before you said it. Timing slows things down, makes her feel something, makes her lean in. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about understanding emotional rhythm. Women are constantly scanning for cues. Is this guy comfortable with himself? Is he reacting, or is he directing? When you time your words, your actions, your touch, just right, it speaks volumes. It says you're not desperate, you're tuned in, you're in sync. And when a man is in sync, he becomes irresistible. Let's talk about something powerful, the moment before the kiss. It's the most electrified few seconds in any romantic interaction, and 90% of men ruin it. They either rush in when the mood isn't ripe, or they hesitate so long the energy fades. But the seducers, the real ones, they recognize the buildup. They feel it in her breathing, her stillness, the softness of her voice. They know the perfect moment isn't when they want to kiss her. It's when she's silently waiting for it, almost hoping for it, but still unsure. Right there, in that razor-thin moment of tension, you move. Slow, intentional, eyes locked on hers, not asking permission, not lunging, just closing the space, like gravity pulling you together. That's how you create fireworks. That's how a kiss turns from physical contact into emotional impact. The same principle applies to every move in seduction. You touch her hand not when you feel the urge, but when she leaves it closer to yours just a little too long. You move closer not when you want proximity, but when she stops pulling away. That gap between desire and action is where attraction blooms. And if you master that gap, you win every time. Mark Manson. Yeah, the subtle art of not giving a fuck guy. He talks about this too. He says the most attractive thing a man can show is non-neediness. But people misunderstand that. It's not about indifference. It's about timing your interest. Showing it when it's felt, not when it's needed. That's strength. That's self-control. That's confidence. Now let me give you a mental frame that will flip how you see interactions forever. Picture this. Every conversation with a woman is like a dance. If you lead too early, she steps back. If you wait too long, she loses the rhythm. But if you step in right when her body starts to move, suddenly you're in sync. You're not forcing anything. You're following her energy, but guiding it. That's what perfect timing feels like, not pushing, not pulling, flowing. This is why eye contact is so underrated. It's not just about looking confident, it's about observing the cues she doesn't even know she's giving. A glance, a smile, a flicker of hesitation, those moments are gold. And the man who can spot them, who can wait for them, who can act at the exact second she's emotionally open, he doesn't chase women, they chase him. And you know what? This works beyond flirting. Perfect timing makes your compliments hit deeper. It makes your silence feel magnetic. It makes your touch linger in her mind long after it's gone. And it all starts with one shift. Stop thinking about what to say and start focusing on when to say it. Because when the moment is right, even the simplest words become unforgettable. Let me tell you about this guy I once coached. Super smart, well-dressed, said all the right things, but every interaction with women felt flat. No chemistry, no tension. Why? Because he operated on his schedule. He complimented when he felt nervous. He leaned in when he got excited. He kissed when he thought the signs were there, but he never calibrated. So we retrained him. Not to say different things, but to wait, to watch, to feel. And when he started acting only when her signals aligned, everything changed. He didn't have to chase anymore. He didn't get ghosted. Because his timing became so sharp, so dialed in, that women felt the connection before he even said a word. Now you might be thinking, how do I start picking up on these cues? It's simpler than you think, but it takes presence. Start here. Next time you talk to a woman, slow everything down. Talk slower, breathe slower, listen deeper. You'll notice things you never caught before. Her pupils dilating, the way she licks her lips mid-sentence, how her voice gets slightly more playful. These aren't random, they're emotional shifts, they're access points, and when you notice them, wait just a beat longer. That pause, that half second where nothing is said, that's where seduction lives. Because in that space, in that stillness, she starts to feel you, not just hear you. She starts to anticipate, to wonder. And that curiosity turns into desire. When a woman starts wondering what you're going to say next, when she feels the moment building before it arrives, you've won. Not because you're better looking, not because you're smoother, but because your timing hits her in the gut. It's primal, unspoken, powerful. And if you think this only applies to one-on-one flirting, you're missing the bigger picture. This same sense of timing works in group settings too. Let the other guys talk. Let them rush, impress, show off. You wait, watch, listen, and then, when the room quiets, you speak. Your voice carries weight. Your presence lands heavier. That's timing, and it creates respect, intrigue, power. Think about James Bond. He's not the loudest guy in the room. He doesn't need to be. He waits, observes, then strikes. With precision. That's why he's seductive. That's why he dominates. Not because of what he says, but because he knows exactly when to say it. So forget the corny pickup lines. Forget rehearsed routines. Master the one thing that never fails, the art of timing. Because once you get that down, every moment becomes an opportunity. Every silence becomes a weapon. Every glance becomes a conversation. And every woman you meet starts to feel like she met someone different. Someone who doesn't try to impress her. Someone who doesn't rush the moment. Someone who knows the dance and makes her want to follow your lead. Let's talk about something that separates amateurs from natural-born seducers: emotional peaks. Most guys live in a straight line, flat, predictable. They text consistently. They compliment predictably. They hang around just enough to feel safe, but not enough to create mystery. And that's why women get bored. That's why sparks fizzle. Because emotions crave motion. They crave contrast. Think about your favorite movie. It doesn't hit you with one emotion the whole time. It builds, it pulls back, it twists, it surprises you, and then it hits hard. That's what makes it memorable. That's what keeps your eyes glued to the screen. Women are emotional creatures. Not because they're irrational, but because they're tuned into subtle shifts. They feel things in layers. So if you want to make her feel you on a deeper level, you need to give her emotional highs, and then let her miss them. That's where withdrawal becomes one of your sharpest weapons. Mystery, the guy who literally turned seduction into a science, used this in his routines all the time. He would show value, engage, flirt, build interest, and then disappear. Not ghost her, just pause the interaction. Step away. Go talk to someone else. The key wasn't to ignore her. It was to create an emotional void just after a high point. That space? That's when curiosity turns into obsession. Here's how you use this. Imagine you're flirting, building connection. She's laughing, leaning in. You drop a playful tease that hits perfectly. She's fully tuned in. Right there. Don't try to stretch the moment. That's what most guys do. They milk the interaction until it runs dry. What you do instead? You step away. Tell her you need to grab a drink, or go greet a friend. Whatever it is, you pull back just as the energy peaks. You leave her slightly unsatisfied, not confused, not hurt, just wondering. That tiny gap in the interaction? That's where attraction multiplies. Why? Because now she's emotionally invested. She doesn't realize it yet, but she's waiting for the next hit. That's how emotional addiction starts. Not with overwhelming affection, but with well-timed contrast. You want to make her feel like she's riding a wave, never quite sure what's coming next. That keeps her engaged. Her brain starts to link your presence with stimulation. That's power. And it's not manipulation, it's pacing, rhythm, flow. One of the most seductive things a man can do is create mystery and then return with clarity. You pull back, but when you return, your energy is even more grounded, more present. You re-engage with eye contact, with a quiet smile, with that subtle moment where you don't have to say much. Because now she's tuned in, she's already wondering what's next. And that curiosity, that hunger, you earned it. Robert Greene calls this strategic withdrawal. You raise her expectations, then create space. Not to play games, but to build anticipation. That space creates heat, because the human mind fills in blanks, and the more she wonders about you, the more she becomes attached to the image she creates in her head. That's why detachment is attractive, not because you're distant, but because you know when to lean in and when to let the silence stretch. Now, let's talk about stacking these moments. You don't need big moves. In fact, subtle behaviors, layered over time, are far more powerful. Start with eye contact, not just looking at her, but holding it just long enough that it suggests something unsaid. Then break it with a smile. That small delay? That's a mini spike. Add in your voice. Speak slower. Drop your tone just slightly on certain words. Use pauses. Let her sit in the space between your sentences. That's another layer. Next time she laughs at something you say, don't react right away. Let her look at you, waiting for you to join in. Then, after a half beat, you smile. That rhythm? It builds tension. She starts syncing with your emotional pace instead of leading her own. This is how seduction works. Micro signals that feel natural, but are timed for maximum emotional effect. Let me give you a real-world analogy. Think of a DJ who controls the energy of a party. He doesn't just blast songs back to back. He builds tension, teases the drop, pulls back, then hits at just the right moment. That drop? That's the emotional high. That's when the crowd loses it. Why? Because he made them wait, he made them want it, and then he delivered. You need to be the DJ of your interactions. Build it, tease it, pull back, then deliver at full impact. Now here's a tactic few guys use, but it's insanely effective. Timed validation. Most guys give compliments too soon, too often, or too generically. What you want to do is hold your praise, and then give it exactly when she's not expecting it. Example, you've been talking for a while, there's chemistry. She makes a joke that's surprisingly clever. You don't react right away. You just give her a subtle smirk. She notices. And a few minutes later, when the moment's passed, you say, by the way, that line earlier, that was actually brilliant. Boom. That hits. Because it wasn't rushed, it wasn't forced, it felt authentic, and timed perfectly. Women can smell forced validation a mile away. But validation that's delayed, that's specific, timed, and earned, hits their ego like a lightning strike. And they remember it. They chase that feeling again. One more layer to this game. Pattern interrupts. If you're always predictable, she tunes you out, but if you break her pattern at the right moment, you spike her emotional state. Suddenly, she's alert, engaged, curious. You're in the middle of a conversation. Things are flowing. She's used to your rhythm. Then you pause, lean in slightly, and whisper something unexpected. Funny, bold, or sincere. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you break the script. That moment forces her brain to wake up, to lock back in, and that jolt, that's attraction. But again, this only works if your timing is precise. You wait for that lull in the energy, then you flip it. That contrast creates emotional whiplash, and that keeps her coming back for more. Because here's the truth. Women don't remember perfect conversations. They remember how they felt, and those feelings don't come from logic or even charm. They come from tension and release, from mystery and revelation, from the moments when you held back and then hit her with something real. This is seduction in its purest form, the ability to shift her emotional state moment by moment until she's addicted to the way you make her feel. It's not about being alpha. It's not about dominance. It's about orchestration. You're guiding an invisible experience. You're crafting a movie in her head. And you're the guy who delivers the plot twists at exactly the right time. This is why the best seducers don't need to do much, because they've mastered the one skill that controls everything, the art of timing. You know what separates the guy she forgets from the one she obsesses over? It's not what he drives. It's not how many reps he hits at the gym. It's not even how funny or good-looking he is. It's how he makes her feel, in the exact moments she wasn't expecting to feel anything. That smirk when she thought you'd be serious. That silence when she expected you to respond. That confident walk-away when the tension was peaking. That slow, grounded look that lasted just a little too long. You become unforgettable not by saying more, but by saying just enough, at the perfect moment. You flip her emotional script. You disrupt her rhythm. You leave her curious when she thought she had you figured out. That's the moment she starts replaying things in her head. That's the moment she starts looking for you in every guy who isn't you. Because when you hit that sweet spot, when timing, energy, and restraint all line up, you don't just attract her, you haunt her. So if you remember one thing from this entire video, let it be this. Don't move when you feel ready. Move when the moment is right. Because that moment, when her guard is low, her curiosity is high, and her body language says more than her words ever could. That's when you make your move. And when you do, she won't just like you, she'll go crazy for you.